We're at the Tribeca Film Festival talking about Seahorse, which is the film directed by Jeanie Finlay.
Jeanie Finlay.
Finlay.
Yeah.
Not Finlay.
Well, I mean
Finlay.
It's sort of which way the wind's blowing. You can say
well,
whichever.
I always say, how does your mom pronounce it? That's usually
me and my
right
sister always say Finlay.
Finlay.
But I think we evolved that so people spell it properly.
You're from Staten Island? I can hear
Yeah,
it.
obviously,
Okay,
yeah.
very good. Actually, no, your prior documentary Sounded Out, which was a favorite a couple of years back.
Oh, you're kidding?
Yeah, no, I see a lot of documentaries.
That was, I took that to South by Southwest.
Yeah, I think that's probably where I saw it.
Yeah, that's where I grew up. The place in
Austin, Texas. I heard it in your accent, yes.
The place in Sound It Out is where I grew up in Teesside, in the UK.
Oh, right.
Anyway, I digress.
Yeah. We'll do a separate podcast for Sound It Out because I didn't get one at the time. Well, we're also joined happily today by Freddy McConnell, who is the subject of Seahorse, and it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah, and you got your figure back, huh?
Yup. That's the first time someone said that, but yeah.
I was meant a little tongue-in-cheek, but
sure.
Or to be a little cheeky, is that what they say in the UK?
It is what they say. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Talk about a meeting and how you found each other.
It was a bit of an unusual one for me, and films like Sound It Out or films that I've made before, I've always gone out and found a story and found something that I feel sort of possessed by. And with this one, it was really different because our mutual friend Charlie Phillips at The Guardian was helping Freddie to find a director. So
you wanted to tell your story?
Yes, yeah.
Which is a very worthwhile story indeed.
I felt like it might be worth going through, worth trying to share, even though I sort of also knew it would be a huge risk and, quite difficult in many ways. But I'm a journalist, so I know the power of sharing such things.
That's right.
And I also know how difficult it is and how it requires very specific expertise, and that particular expertise isn't something I had, and I just didn't think by myself that I could reach the size of audience that I wanted to in order to make it worthwhile sort of undertaking kind of thing. So yeah, me and Charlie, my colleague, went on, started to talk to directors and try and put this team together. And
how do you handle this part of it? I'm kind of curious, just as a viewer. You're already, obviously, you want to have a child, biologically speaking, and then you you hire a director, or that's not the right way to put it. You collaborate with a director like Jeanie here, and then you kind of have to start over your stories. Is there a creation of scenes at all? I know it's a very...
I guess like I can speak to that at the beginning
Please.
of the process. Once we met and we sort of knew that, this is going to work. We talked about what could the approach be, and my approach is always let's just see what happens and figure it out. So what I quite often do is do quite a lot of filming up front just to see what feels right, because my job isn't to go in with a really prescriptive plan. My job is to listen and to see how being with Freddie makes me feel, because I need to find a visual language to translate that for an audience. A job of a documentary maker, not to sound too poncy, is it's like an emotional barometer. I need to feel the temperature of what's going on and think about our chemistry and try and think creatively about how to bring that to the screen. But at the beginning, I sort of said to you, look, if we do this, I'm all in. I'll give you everything and we'll do it, and it's going to be really, really hard.
Yeah.
But we got to do it. And I guess right at the beginning, this isn't a film that's constructed from a lot of interviews. It's about being, but right up front, I thought it was useful to just put a line in the sand, say this is the start of our journey together, and we did some epic interviews.
Oh God!
Just to just to see how that felt, but also just to think about what does it mean. How are you living your life right now? going to the gym, cycling around London, where do you live? How can we show all of those things and then take it from there, really? You know, a film should suggest the best way to make it out of the corner of your eye, sort of thing.
And, you know, for me, it was important that all of this stuff had a really long lead time, as it were. I had been thinking for years about how I was going to start my family, and so it wasn't that we had to sort of back up and start again. You know, I was kind of on this path, and then luckily, because we met and, you know, we had that instant chemistry, Jeanie and the rest of the film team just kind of slotted in beside, and we just carried on together. But, you know, it wasn't... that's another reason. It wasn't disruptive, absolutely. And that was a reason I wanted to be able to not focus on the storytelling and have, you know, a filmmaker as talented and as like with such a strong vision as Jeanie does to come in and take care of that side of things, so that I wasn't being distracted from obviously the kind of the job in hand for me. Yeah.
I don't know if this is a plot point that you not want to give away, but you have a close friend, maybe your closest friend, right, who at the beginning of this or arc of the story, the plan was to share this experience with him, and something changes during in the plan, right, during the course of the film. This is something that is an example of, you know, why documentaries are so unique, and you don't know.
Yeah, they constantly change and evolve all of the time.
A whole different story can emerge.
Yeah.
And you have to be open to it. So
you've got to be completely
and
open.
See it. Yeah, and you have to kind of see, all of a sudden this story I thought I was making is a different story, potentially. And
completely. I mean,
those can be some of the best.
Well, it was a completely risky thing for all of us, because right at the beginning of this, when I sat there in the pub with you and said, you know, I'm all in, that didn't mean, hey, we're going to have a film. It meant, well, will Freddy be able to get pregnant? Can he? Will he?
Will I change my mind? You know,
will he change his mind?
Yeah.
Will we get in?
Right.
Will I be able to capture the birth? Will I be there? Will my car get to the, you know, will I be able to park my car in time to unload the gear at the hospital?
All those. Were you operating? Did you have like a sound person with you, Jeanie, or did you?
No.
Were you by yourself and you just?
I don't have
put
sound people anymore because it gets in the way.
Absolutely.
I just want intimacy, and you know, making a film's weird. The people who say, "Oh, there's fly on the wall," it doesn't exist. I was about to use a swear word then, but I'm not going to swear on your podcast. But you know, it's a load of rubbish. Fly on the, you know, I'm using a sizable camera on a monopod or on a tripod. It's a load of gear, and if you're not like filming, you're humping loads of gear around all the time.
And I assume he has a lavalier strapped to him somewhere on his person.
Yeah, that was a challenge, wasn't it?
What was that?
The microphone.
And then people
Figuring that out.
how do you do, like, if you know he's going into a clinic or into a
So
family, a situation, how do you know, without a sound person, you have to mic everybody, right?
So Freddie's constantly radio mic'd, and we use a top mic, and
right.
but you know, this idea of like translate, it's about intimacy, and I'm hearing Freddie breathing in my ear. Like when I filmed Freddie does a shot on the morning before having an insemination procedure. There's a sound on the soundtrack which is of Freddie's heart beating, and the reason why you can hear it so well is because the radio mic is literally on top of his heart, and so it's wild. Someone asked me, "God, did you dub that in?" I was like, "No, that's how close it was. We could hear his heart reacting."
Ironically, it probably sounded like a sonogram, and because and it's probably beating a little faster because you're about to stab yourself. And you had to go through such. I don't want to get into your personal affairs because it's not my place. But you had to have gone through. You were taking hormones. You had to cut back in order to be pregnant, correct?
So when trans men, if they want to carry babies, they have to stop their hormone therapy completely for a certain amount of time until it clears their system.
Right.
It's becoming more of a known process, because hundreds of trans men have done this at this point. So I was under the care of a great doctor, luckily.
Who's handled, in other words, similar patients or clients, what have you? What do you call
patients?
Yeah,
people. Yeah,
persons. Yeah, but I just have to imagine it causes havoc. Some on some level, no. Or
I think as with most things, it's different for every person. And I certainly have come across people in the community who, I don't know, seem almost to love every second of it, or just to not be so affected. I mean, I think hormones affect everyone differently, so it sort of depends on your physiology, on your family circumstances, on the support you have, on so much. So yeah, I did find it really difficult, but that's not. I think that's because of me as opposed to
right. And most people that are pregnant experience that. I hear.
Yes,
I hear.
Yeah, I mean, making this film was a big opportunity for me to sort of reflect on what it meant when I was pregnant and what that was like, being invaded by a benevolent alien. Is how I kept thinking about it, because I just felt like, well, I was sort of amazed at that. Oh, she's making eyelashes today. That's amazing.
I think it was interesting how we had quite different experiences. I think we experienced it. I mean, obviously because of the trans element, and dysphoria, which you wouldn't have experienced. But even just I loved the feeling of growing this person inside me, and I don't think you felt the same way about it exactly.
I loved it when she moved. I really, really loved it, and I could feel this connection. But I had pubic-symphysis dysfunction when I was pregnant, which is not like it's.
What's that?
It just means you can't walk. I'm hypermobile, so
what was that?
I'm hypermobile, which means I'm double jointed, and a lot of people, when they get pregnant, the effect of the hormone relaxin on the body, which is like getting the body ready to give birth, can play havoc with your joints. So for 6 months of my pregnancy, I couldn't walk. I was like on crutches.
No wonder you.
But I also at that point got my first film commission. So I remember I used to literally just go everywhere in a black cab, hold court, and then get back in a black cab. But I went to the BBC at 6 months pregnant and got my first film commissioned, which was wild.
Well done.
Well done.
I mean, I loved it. It just felt, to me, pregnancy felt like an adventure, that I was really open to what came, and when I met my daughter, I just felt like I can't wait to get to know her.
Maternal instincts, good. How are your maternal instincts?
Say again?
How are your maternal instincts? Or I guess you call them paternal instincts.
Yeah, I would.
And I will.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, very strong as well, I would say. And I think I won't talk about what happens, but the very end of the film, kind of that really comes across, which is great, because we didn't do much filming after the birth, but when we did, we got it.
I think it was really important to both of us that once you'd had the baby, then the baby gets a chance to be involved in the decision making about whether they want to be in a film.
Yes.
So,
are you saying in terms of it's just instinctual behavior when you're putting it in front of the camera, or are you saying is your child old enough to to articulate? How old is
Seahorse is a film about Freddie's journey to becoming a parent. So it was really important to me that we meet Freddie and his baby, but we just leave them to get on with their lives, basically. Yeah. So
Seahorse 2, the sequel,
may or may not be made by my child, but that is his decision.
Again, it's called Seahorse, and it's having its certainly U.S. premiere here at the.
We had our world premiere last night at
Tribeca
Film Festival.
Congratulations! How did that go? And it wasn't obviously your first time seeing the film, so you obviously. What did you make of the film when you did finally see it? Do you feel this was something, or pretty close to what you wanted when you had the thought of documenting this process?
I would say staggeringly so, like to an extent that is sort of hard to understand. But that's, again, I suppose, I'm glad my gut of sort of wanting to work with a proper filmmaker that it paid off.
I'm a proper filmmaker. That's pretty good. So I wish someone would tell my daughter that. She keeps saying, yeah, Mum, I might make films when I get older, but not documentaries. I'm going to make proper films.
Proper films. These are her siblings, and she talks that way about Sound It Out and Seahorse are her siblings, essentially, right? You've given birth to these children.
Yeah, but no, I was. I mean, despite being involved in knowing sort of what was going on with the film being made, obviously I was there the whole time and stuff. But seeing the early cut was incredible, and I felt like that is what happened. I mean, obviously it's an hour and a half, it's not 2 years, but even that's incredible how you can sort of pick and choose and edit in a way to where it just feels very real and true. And
well, all hail Alice Powell, the best editor in the world.
Yeah.
So, but she's the best.
Yeah,
she's the best.
Well, kudos on you for being able to attract the best to your team. So I'll mention that there are probably a couple more screenings of Seahorse.
Yeah, we've got a screening. We're doing another screening today. We had our world premiere last night, which was just overwhelming and emotional and fantastic. And then we've got screening later in the week on Thursday. Then we're heading to Hot Docs in Toronto tomorrow.
Oh, terrific.
Then I'm going to QDoc in Portland, Oregon. And then I'm going to Doxa in Vancouver. And then we've got a load more screenings coming up, which is really exciting.
I hear the band is playing me out. I wish you all the luck with this wonderful and very worthwhile documentary, Seahorse, and it was a pleasure meeting you both.
Thanks so much. If anyone wants to know more about the film,
yes,
we have a website. We're on social media. Just Seahorse Film. So seahorsefilm.com.
Right across the board.
Yes.
Seahorse.
Apart from on Twitter, annoyingly, we're the Seahorse Film on Twitter.
Don't you hate that?
It's annoying.
Well, I will put all the links in this and help when I post this. Okay. Thank you guys.
Thanks so
much. Thank you very much.
This has been really fun.
I enjoyed it too.